So about a year ago, I posted a video about how I was retiring from video games. And ever since then, I've received the question, hey, well, what are you doing? Tell me about your job. And I haven't been able to tell you guys. It wasn't the right time. But last night during a live stream, I was able to actually tell you guys, which is exciting. So that's what you're going to watch here. I encourage you guys to watch the entire thing. Please watch it. There's some Q&A from the live chat afterwards. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments below or join me for a live stream immediately after you watch this. I'm going to be live all day if you're watching this on Friday when this video is released. If you're not, I'll still be live streaming. I would love for you to subscribe to the channel. Of course, hit the thumbs up on this video and let people know that let people know that I exist. I'm back, baby. So with that said, please enjoy this. Please watch the whole thing, and it should clear a lot of things up. I believe in transparency and with you and my audience, and I think that's very, very important. So I'm excited for the next step, and I'm excited to finally share with you guys what I've been doing. So here we go. So the last year, you would want to know what I've been doing. I'd like to take you on a trip back a year ago. We are in October right now. I want to take you back to just the end of August 2022. If you recall, or 2021, if you recall in August, what was I doing? I was all in on Collaborator Club. Collaborator Club was going to be my next thing that I launched. I'm a big believer in collaboration. You guys know that. You will see this on my YouTube channel. I am a big believer in that. And Collaborator Club was going to be the next project for me. And then one day, I received an email from a recruiter. And the recruiter told me about a position that was it was going to be the head of a media company for a new startup. And she wanted to know if I wanted to learn more about it. And I was interested. So I talked to the recruiter, and I've never gone through a recruiting process before. Apparently it's a very common theme in the big tech world, but I'm not a big tech guy. So the recruiter reached out to me. We had a couple phone calls, and she then passed me on to the CEO because she thought I'd be a good person to talk to and to have an interview. Now, it's my understanding that they interviewed over 100 people for this position from all walks of life, all different genres of content, and via Screw Attack, via my time at Game Attack, via what I was working on. They found me via LinkedIn, and then they kind of did a deep dive on me, and they were like pretty impressed with what I had built. They were impressed that I had started a couple companies, had exits out of one of them, left the other one with in a similar fashion. And had done things in video, had done things in live streaming, with the intention of me, of talking with me more about being essentially the more or less the head of content for this company. And the company was called GH Holdings. GH Holdings. I didn't really know what that meant. So, and here was the interesting thing. They had talked to a lot of people. And this startup was different. This was going to be a different startup that was entirely out of the gaming space. A 180-degree shift from the gaming space, which was very intriguing to me, extremely intriguing to me. It was so different that I looked at it and I was like, "That's so different. I kind of gotta give it a hard look." And what's crazy about it is, I see people Googling, what is GH Media? Well, it doesn't exist. GH Media doesn't exist. It was a shell company for what is now what will be called, what I'm going to tell you guys in a minute. But so I worked in the video game industry for the last 15 years, and this was such a dramatic shift that I had to take a hard look at it. And the industry that I've been working on in the last year has been the firearm industry, the gun industry. Been working for a company called Prairie Fire, where I've been the head of content for this company. I was initially brought on to be the head of content for this company and build out more or less a social media platform as well as a media team. And for me, this was something that was so drastically crazy different, but still something that I was familiar with. This was in my mind, what I saw was I had built things in the past with zero resources. And in my interview process with this company, it was going to be the complete opposite. I was going to have resources for the first time. And I thought, wow, what can I build? What can I build with resources? Like, this is, if I built something with nothing, what could I build with everything? We were talking about buying buildings in downtown Dallas, building a 20,000, 30,000 square foot production house, and essentially hiring a staff and building, in my mind, kind of a screw attack, but in the firearms space. Now, I'm going to hold off. I'm not going to read any chats right now. I'm just going to talk, and then I'll kind of dig into things a little bit deeper. If you guys know me, and you've known anything about me, there have been things I have made statements about firearms in the past, mainly because I simply didn't know about firearms. So I started with this company literally the day after I told you guys that I was going to be done making content in the video game space. I retired, and then the next day I went down to Austin, Texas for the first executive meeting for GH Holdings, which would later become Prairie Fire. And I'm going to talk more and more about Prairie Fire here in a little bit. So just hang tight on your questions, because I know there's going to be quite a bit. But in our first meetings, we had talked about doing some amazing things. Like I said, a social media platform. We actually opened up talking about how Twitch has a certain ideology, YouTube has a certain ideology, Facebook has a certain ideology, and this company was going to be, and this is probably the most important thing for me. This was a non-political firearms company, and I know it's crazy to say. Well, it's the firearms industry. How can you be non-political? That was a very important thing for us. We wanted to allow people, if you look at statistically, people who buy firearms, who own firearms, it's not as divided as you think it is. There's Republicans who own firearms, but there's a lot of Democrats who own firearms, right? Lots. They're just not as open about it. So I entered this space knowing next to nothing about it, but I knew enough, and I've known enough about online content, how to build communities, how to build production plans and everything associated with that I thought this was going to be a unique enough challenge that it was worth diving into. I became an executive at this company. I have met some of the most incredible people while working in this industry. I've learned so much about firearms safety, and I think that's probably the biggest thing that I learned was safety is the most important thing to everybody in the firearm space. Literally everybody I speak to. If I shot more rounds in the last year than I had in my entire life. The only time I'd shot a gun prior to joining Prairie Fire was when we shot at Shaq Fu like 10 years ago in a Shaq Fu destruction video, and I was crazy nervous. Now, obviously, you're holding a firearm. That's an extreme. It's a weapon. It is something that can literally kill you or somebody else. And that was something that I was obviously extremely nervous about. But having worked with these people and knowing the utmost importance of safety, that was really, really, really reassuring. And I understand that a lot. Some people have very opinionated about guns, and I totally understand that. Totally understand that. It's a very polarizing topic today. And I'll say this, as we were, the last year I've had some serious, it's been a major roller coaster for me. When Uvalde happened, I was more upset than anybody. I'm asking myself, why am I in this industry? I don't even understand what I'm doing in this space. I I have kids who are the age of what was going on in Uvalde, and you have these thoughts. You have these thoughts while you're in there, like, what am I doing? And I remember going in. We had meetings every day, and my CEO said, he said, I'm tired of being in an industry that passes the blame. Well, I'm glad that our gun didn't cause this, or I'm glad that, or I'm glad they didn't use our gun. And, and he's like, I'm tired of that nonsense. And I think that that was really, really important for me, because I certainly had some doubts, about things. But I spent the last year at this company, and I've really, like I said, I've met some amazing people. The men that have been on my team are some of the best men I'll ever meet, like legitimately. They are men's men who have sacrificed, who have served for our country, who have seen the worst in humanity and still smile on a day-to-day basis. And that is something that I think is extremely hard for people to understand. And these are guys who literally have fought alongside each other and are still fighting, in the world of business together. It's amazing. So with all that said, I spent the last year as an executive at this company, and it's been such an incredible learning experience for me. Just learning everything from the culture. There's this perception looking from the outside in, of what gun culture is, and there's some truth to that stereotype, right? But I believe that there's truth in all stereotypes, but at the same time, some things couldn't be further from the truth. And the thing about GH Holdings, which was really exciting for me, was, and one of the main reasons why I was most intrigued, outside of having the opportunity to grow something again from scratch, and build something from the ground up, wasn't necessarily the idea of it being an entirely different and total change of pace from my life. Like entire you talk about totally different industries, like the video game industry and the firearms industry, totally different, right? The thing that was most exciting for me about working in this industry was, or at least working with GH Holdings, was that it was not going to be my life with guns. It was going to be me. It was going to be my life with guns. And I think there's a big difference between the two. There's over 100 million people in America who own firearms, and a large majority of them literally have no idea how to shoot them, have no idea how to use them. They just own them, and they put them in their closet, and they hope and they pray they never have to use them. And there have been social media platforms that have been built around firearms that have been all about the firearm themselves. But I'm a big believer that, just like with video games, everything we do, from a gaming perspective, games are the vehicle to bring people together. And in gun culture, in the two-way space, guns are a vehicle to bring people together there as well. Just like in sports, just like in baking, just like in cars. These are all vehicles to bring people together. And that was really intriguing. The idea of hitting there's a very small percentage of people that are my life with guns, and we wanted to hit the people who were my life with guns. And that was extremely exciting to me. Trying to educate as I learned as well. So like I said, I spent the last year working with this company, and I have zero regrets. Coming up in October, literally in just about two or 3 weeks, Prairie Fire which is what GH Holdings became, is holding a tournament outside of Austin for a $100,000 prize pool. And I've been a part of the planning process of that, and helping put together that event from a media standpoint. It's an event called Celebrating Heroes. It's I've been at so many gun ranges in the last six months, talking with different people, meeting people in this industry. That I made a lot of relationships. With all that said, I resigned, and last Friday was my last day. I spent the last year doing it. I have zero regrets, and I resigned because I spent the last year doing something that I thought would be a really unique challenge, and at the end of the day, it just didn't fit me. And every day, literally every day, I talk to you guys, and I say, if you got a goal, go get it, right? And if I'm not living that, I'm a giant fucking hypocrite. And I don't want to be a hypocrite to you. I don't want to be a hypocrite to my wife. I don't want to be a hypocrite to my kids. And that's the biggest thing. So I resigned, and literally this past Monday was my first day back being a free agent. And so I've had a little bit more time to get back to things. So with that said, Quizno says, so what are we going to do now? I got a lot of things on the table. I've been approached by a lot of folks about doing some things. But first and foremost, I'm going to focus on you. I'm going to focus on this. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to start streaming. And I'm going to stream, I have no idea how long. I'm just going to stream in the morning, and I'm going to stream on YouTube, and I'm going to try to stream on Twitch. And we're just going to hang out tomorrow, and we're going to see how it goes. We might play some games. We may just talk. And tomorrow, we're just going to go. And I'm going to focus in on some top 10s, and I'm going to have some meetings about doing some other things. But at this point in my life, I want to grow something again. I want to build something again. And that is where I'm at. Whether that's this channel, whether that's with another company, I want to be in position to where I can make decisions that will affect things on a larger level. And that is what is driving me right now. And I think we're going to start with this channel right now. You know, I want to prove to myself, and I want to prove to you that we can do this again, that we can grow a screw attack, we can grow a game attack, that we can grow Stuttering Craig again, and or whatever else it may be. Like I said, I've been approached by a couple other folks. I think I've got meetings. That's one of the reasons why I'm going to Orlando here in a couple weeks. I've been approached, and I have approached other people. But we'll cross the bridge when we get there, for sure. So with that said, I'm here. I'm ready to go. And I'm ready to be with you guys. Any questions? Iceman says, I'm absolutely shocked you resigned, Craig. Well, let me tell you this, man. It was not easy to resign. I'm going to be very blunt. I was making a lot of money. Lots of money. More money than I've ever made in my life. And the money was awesome. But at the end of the day, you know, I talked to my dad about this. And he said something that only a father can say. I said, Dad, I'm really having a hard time. I'm having a hard time with what I'm doing, with the direction that I'd like to go with this. And he said something so simple that only a dad can say, in just the best dad way. He said, if you don't believe in something, you're not going to be able to make good stuff. And he's right. And it's not that I didn't believe in the mission of Prairie Fire. I absolutely believe in the mission of Prairie Fire. I believe in the idea of educating people in safety. But what's initially started as a company that was going to be a social media platform and a media company turned and morphed over the course of a year into a training company. And that's something that I initially didn't sign up for. So, and had it been a training company when I initially signed up for it, I wouldn't have signed up. So it's, the biggest thing for me is I don't want to be a hypocrite. I'm not a hypocrite. I mean, we're all hypocrites on some level, but at the end of the day, if I'm preaching to you guys, like what is my logo says it in my freaking logo says, go get it. Right. And if I'm not living that, what am I doing? What am I doing? So I think that's at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, is that I'm not lying to you guys, right? I talk about transparency all the time, and that is beyond important to me. I have been transparent with you literally since the day we met. I've literally gone out of my way to be honest with you guys. And some people will take other people's sides on things. That's totally fine. I don't care. But you're only as good as your word. So I want to reiterate, tomorrow I'm gonna stream. I'm gonna stream all day. I'm gonna probably start streaming around 9:30 or 10, somewhere around there. And I'll probably talk about this a little bit more tomorrow. I'll probably make a video talking about it and post it on YouTube, inviting people to come to the live stream. And I have no idea how long we'll go. No idea. But I'm going to be live. I'm going to do my best to stream to Twitch as well. But YouTube and Twitch is where we're at. And at the end of the day, tomorrow is literally the start of day one. And day one of what? I don't know. But it's like literally a fresh start. When I said I retired from video games last year, I had zero intention of coming back and streaming and doing any sort of video game content. Zero. And I was fine not doing that. But it became just more and more apparent to me that I just missed it. And if you've been following my journey over the last year, I initially was I originally planned on telling you guys what I've been doing in March or April, and that was 6 months ago, 7 months ago. I initially had hoped to tell you guys then, because at that point we were going to be launching a social media platform, and ultimately, with startups and things changed, and the entire social media platform was scrapped. So that was kind of a shot to the gut at the time. It was really, really hard. So we had some leadership changes and stuff. So, it is what it is. But the idea of launching a social media platform and seeing what it was before it was shelved, man, like I can only just think about the possibilities that could have been. Had the social media platform launched, who knows? Who knows? Adam with the $4.99 super chat says, did something turn you off from the business venture? Nothing from like the firearm space turned me off. Like I said, like literally 100% of the people I met in the firearm space were phenomenal people. And I'll say this, the one thing that I learned intimately while I was in the space was that when horrible things happen, when things like Uvalde happens, or someone in the shooting, in the shooting space, some sort of horrible incident happens, it's not from somebody in the shooting space. It's not from somebody who works in the shooting space, because the people that I met, safety is too important, right? Safety is way too important. This is a mental issue. I'm a firm believer in that, and that's tough, man. It's tough. I know things are going to work out. I don't know what that means, but I honestly, in my heart, feel like things are going to work out. And the gobs of money that I left on the table. You got to remember, I resigned. I didn't get fired. There was no severance, or anything like that. I didn't get 3 months of pay or anything. No, I decided on my own to leave literally 6 days before my 1 year. So I'm jumping out the airplane, and at the end of the day, I believe in myself. I believe in this community. And that's what it comes down to. That's the reality of it. Dr. Shut Up says money isn't everything. Respect, Craig. No, it's not. It's not. And I know that there will be struggles. There will be immense struggles coming up over the next 3 months, 6 months, until I land on whatever it is I'm doing. But right now, what I'm doing is this. And, that's exciting. Miss Crazy T says, you have to do what makes you happy. Well, I am a big believer in that. And if you're not happy doing what you're doing, which there were days that I certainly was not happy, then you need to make a change. And like I've said this before to you guys, if you're not happy doing something, you got to make a change. And once again, I don't want to be a hypocrite to you. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm going to live by my word. And that's something that, at the end of the day, if people don't value your word, what the hell are you doing? That's all you got. Your man is only as good as his word, right? JD Racing said with a $10 direct donation says, I'm proud of you, Craig. My dad was a caretaker for mentally disabled adults in New York, had a government job and a secure life. His dream was to be in music. Had the opportunity to be a producer in Nashville and turned it down for the security. He was miserable. Well, thank you, JD. And I think that's probably the biggest thing is I don't want to look back on my life and say, what if? And as I've talked to other guys about my age, that's the biggest thing. You're married, you got a couple kids, you got a little security, you got a nice cush executive job with a little bit of money rolling in, you got insurance. But at the end of the day, like I'll see that as a little stop on the side of the road, right? And it's really important for me that in 20 years, 25, 30 years, whatever it is right now, from now, that I'm able to look back and say, like, I gave it everything. I did my best. Not just for me, not just for me, for my wife, for my kids, for you. And that's important to me. That's beyond important to me. For my dad, for my parents, letting them know that their sacrifice they made were important. They taught me things, that's, I will not live with regrets. I refuse to do that. Adam says, dumb question. Why'd you take the job when you know you had no expertise in said field? So good question, right? The role I had didn't initially, it was more about content creation and building a team and building a media company than it was about guns. Like I said, guns and firearms were more the vehicle for the content. And my vision for the platform was more of a broader focus with guns as a piece of it. So I think that was kind of the allure to me, but it was so drastically different that that I had to at least take a look. And I'm glad I did. I really am. I'm glad I did. There was really a big turning point for me. Really a big turning point for me when it was probably about 2 months ago when I was sitting right here and I was working. And my daughters, they came in and I was just kind of going through the motions on the day-to-day basis. And I didn't realize I was going through the motions on a day-to-day basis. And my daughter came in and she said, Daddy, why do you work for a gun company? And I didn't have a good answer for her. And that was a really big moment for me. I didn't know what to tell her. Well, I'm doing it because of the money, honey. I'm doing it because it provides security for you and your mom and your sister, right? What the hell does that mean? I tell my girls all the time, like, if you got to, look, I say this to them every single night. You're beautiful, smart, courageous, and brave, and you can do whatever you want in this world as long as you have the courage to try, right? And here I was being a fucking pussy, sitting right here, just collecting checks and doing menial tasks and, having this cush executive thing. And I didn't have a good answer for her. And that's not right. And if I can't answer, if I can't just tell my, give my kids an honest answer, that's the issue. Tattoo Game says, so you're basically on autopilot. Right. I was. Yeah. And that's not fair to them. It's not fair to me. Right. It's not fair to the people I work for. It's not fair to anybody to be on autopilot. I want to challenge myself. I want to challenge my kids. Like I said, I tell you guys things all the time, and if I'm not living up to my word and what I'm telling you guys, then what the hell are we doing here? Here's the thing about it, right? I have a YouTube channel that has less than 28,000 subscribers on it, right? If you think that's paying the bills, come on, get out of here. Like I think my top 10 video has made $14, right? I know it's going to be a grind, right? And I'm not even saying YouTube is the long-term goal, but the community is, right? The community is one of the long-term goals. Backyard Tardis with the super chat says, you said you didn't think you could do Screw Attack today. Game Attack burnt you out. And, oh, there it is. Yes, almost there. He says, and I noticed you talked about getting others to work with you earlier this week. What do you hope to build next? Awesome. I'm going to put a pin in that. I have several ideas, and I'm still trying to sort through this. This is still very fresh to me. And usually when you resign from somewhere, you have some sort of direction. And I have several opportunities in front of me. But I'm not quite there yet. So, but I am going to build something. I just don't know what it is yet. It's true. I do not know what's next, but I do know that we're going to go on an adventure together. And I fully anticipate wonderful times ahead of us. So with that said, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let's go on an adventure together. I appreciate you guys popping in. I will see you guys on Monday for a new top 10. And I'll see you guys when I live stream and shorts and all sorts of stuff here on YouTube. Appreciate you guys. Let's do it. Let's go get it.